So once again, we are all welcome to GST105, History and Philosophy of Science. This is a student-to-student study group. So let's see how we can help each other. Okay. Now, like you hear the title of the course, History and Philosophy of Science. We'll be dealing with a whole lot about science. So the course is basically going to dive into the history of science, and so we have 20 study units divided into 4 modules and 5 units per module. It's not something that hard. You may look at the material so bulky, 230 pages and so on and so forth, but for those of you that you know attended the science class in your secondary level, I think it's not something this course is not something that hard for you to digest. So without wasting time, we'll just go straight into what we have today, which is Module 1, Unit 1, the nature of science. Before we go into anything, I would like to throw a general question and I would like 2 to 3 people to answer. What is science in your own knowledge? What do you understand by science? Yes, 3 volunteers. Anybody unmute and talk. I thought Lovett want to say something. What is science?
Sorry, it was a mistake. I don't know science, so me, I didn't know. I wasn't a science student, though. Sorry.
You are not science student, but now you've met science in your university level. So you have to know what is science. This is a GST course and
Am
it's
I?
general for several courses or several programs. You will do it, whether you like it or not.
Oh,
Even mass com.
okay, I will.
Mass com, you are not science student, you will do just 105. It's compulsory. Okay, somebody want to say something. Doctor of the street, you should be able to know science because I think you are mixing chemical in the street. Have you? Yes. So nobody knows what science means now. As plenty as we are here.
Afisuru, let's just move on, please.
Ah, hey, what's it down? Now, the nature of science, since you don't know it, thank God you know it now because this is what the course is all about, to expose you to science as a whole. So that science student will not be, doing you younger. You will see all they do in science here. Now, I believe you read the course guide, which we did not do, so let's not lie. If so, it means you now have a general understanding of what this unit is about and how it fits into the course as a whole. The unit will make you aware of the various definitions of science, branches of science, aims of science, and the differences between science and non-science disciplines. Now, it is also important to you because it will help you to understand the subsequent units. The objectives below specify what you're expected to learn after going through this unit, the nature of science. After we've gone through the nature of science, everybody should be able to, 1, outline the 3 ways of defining science: by how, by why, and by whatever. So identify carefully the areas of knowledge which qualify to be science. So when somebody makes a statement, you should be able to say this statement is scientific or not. Or when there is a discovery or a kind of happening somewhere, you should be able to know what yardstick you will use to measure if that event is scientific or not by the end of this unit. And also, you should be able to state briefly the purpose of science. Why is science important in our society or in our world today? So that is all we want to unfold. First is the definitions of science. Now, what comes to your mind when the word science is mentioned? Is it chemistry, physics, biology, or mathematics? Now, the word science is derived from the Latin word. Now, this is where you start putting your mind. Very important, because questions begin from here. The word science is derived from the Latin word scientia. Please note the spelling, because when you see it in OBJ, you should be able to pick the correct spelling. The word science is derived from the Latin word scientia. That is the first thing you should know about science. Who is that? Oh, please mute yourself. Favor, mute yourself. Okay, so that is the first thing. Science from Latin, scientia, which means knowledge. So the meaning of scientia means knowledge. In other words, it will be safe to conclude that science means knowledge in the general, or let's just go to etymological meaning. So we can just say it means knowledge, since from scientia to science, and the meaning of scientia means knowledge, according to N 2000. So on the simplest level, science has been defined as the knowledge of the world of nature. Science is the knowledge of the world of nature, which means trying to know more about nature, how nature exists, why nature exists, the things that makes up nature, constraint of nature, everything about nature. And when we talk about nature, you are talking of your physical environment around you, which you can see. The land, the sea, the ocean, the atmosphere, the sky, all those. So that is what we're talking about. Now, according to the Encyclopedia, that's Britannica, in 1995, that is the definition that we just digested now about science being the knowledge of the world of nature. Now, the above definition, however, does not exhaust the full meaning of science. So if you have limited the definition of science to the knowledge of the world of nature, then something will be wrong, because science is much more than that. However, science generally is regarded in three main ways. For us to capture the whole scope of science in our definition, three things must be considered. First, science as a body of knowledge. Please, very important. You see these three main ways. It's a question, though. They'll list these three in maybe question A, B, C. Sorry, option A, B, C. Then the last one will be something that is not part of it. So they will say except. So you have to know these three before you can be able to fish out the one that is not part of them. So in what three ways can we express science? We can express science as a body of knowledge. Secondly, we can express it as a method for acquiring knowledge or studying and understanding the world. And lastly, as an institution. Let's all unmute and recite these three ways together. The three ways in which we can express or study science. Let's everybody unmute, and let's go on the count of three. 1, 2, 3, go. You can express science
as a body
of knowledge, yes. Number
a
two,
method for acquiring knowledge or studying and understanding the world.
there's only one person that is here. The last one,
An institution.
an institution. Good. So now that is how to closely, perfectly define science. Now let's not take it one by one. One is as a body of knowledge. Let's start with that. Now, science as a body of knowledge, what does it mean? The word body. Let's say, okay, what does the word body tell you? The bodies of knowledge, then generally regarded as science, include, you see, that thing that comes in your mind when you hear science.
Please scroll up a bit, or scroll up to the second one before institution. I can't see it very well.
Okay, sorry. So let's talk
Okay,
about
yes, knowledge of studying and
what is it called?
the world.
Science as a body of knowledge. But you know that the way I asked you guys the other time, when I say what is science and nobody wants to talk, I think if some of you want to talk sincerely, what you know, you would have just saying, science is just all about chemistry, physics now. Chemistry, all those people that are doing chemistry, physics, and the rest, biology, and that is what you will come to your mind. You are not totally wrong because basically those are science subjects. And then in this course, we call them bodies of knowledge. So when we talk about science as bodies of knowledge, we talk about those things that you have in mind when you hear science, those subjects that come to your mind when you hear science, like chemistry, biology, physics, mathematics, microbiology, pharmacy, and medicine. All these are what we call bodies of knowledge as in definition of science. Now, these bodies of knowledge differ from other forms of knowledge, such as religion and art, in both content and form. Yes, what you study in chemistry and biology is totally different from those studying CRS or studying government. So you will study about these differences in a subsequent section. Now, that is all for science as a body of knowledge, which is all those subjects that you know already: chemistry, physics, biology, mathematics, microbiology, and the rest of them. Now let's go to science as a method of acquiring knowledge. You know, that is number 2. Science as a method of acquiring knowledge. Now, science has well-known procedures for obtaining knowledge. That is one difference between science and art. You see, science, it must have been proven. You will lay down principles that must be followed. This process must, in fact, science is so mean that if there are 10 steps to acquiring a solution, if you dare to skip 2 or 1 of it just because you are in a haste, you will not get the desired result. So that's what we are trying to say here. Science as a method of acquiring knowledge. So science has well-known procedures for obtaining knowledge. The 2 branches of science, which are empirical and formal sciences. Please note 2 branches of science that we have. We have the empirical science and formal science. They use what is called the scientific method. So whether you are dealing with empirical science or the formal science, the method in which both of them uses to express science is scientific method. Now, the 2 steps of that method include, no, it's not 2 steps. So I think there is an error there. Now, the steps involved in scientific method include, first of all, observation. Please, this is very important. This is all about science. This is what science is all about, rather. So please put it in mind. We have observation, then problem hypothesis. What they do here is that they will list them in OBJ and put one that is not part of the process or the steps. So you have to fish out the one that is not part of it. So observation, problem hypothesis, formulation, and then experimentation, conclusion, and theory formulation. In secondary school level, and even from primary school level, you know that it starts from observation. And then when the hypothesis has been proven and proven to be correct over a long period of time, you now change it to what? That hypothesis may become a theory and even a law. And once it becomes a law, it becomes standard. That means when you apply a law anywhere, it will give you the same result. So if a law has been proven scientifically in London, even if you apply it in Nigeria, it will still work. It will still give you the same result. But while it's still an hypothesis, it's still under subjection to undergo different stages of testing to see whether it is accurate or not. So an hypothesis is just like a raw fact, still under process. Until it is processed and proven beyond all reasonable doubt, that's when it becomes a theory or a law. Now, formal science utilizes concepts, rules, and theories. We are still observing the 2 branches of science under science as a method of acquiring knowledge, which are empirical and formal sciences. We're now talking of formal science. And in formal science utilizes concepts, rules, and theories and expresses them in quantitative and statistical method or manner. You will understand the meaning of empirical concepts, rules, and theories in subsequent. Don't worry, this is just introduction to the course.
I'm lacking behind though. I'm still at the two-step of method include. The network was really bad. I couldn't really get you.
Sorry, the two methods are empirical and formal. Empirical and
No,
formal.
no, no. No. I don't think so. The two branches, sorry.
Those are the branches.
Sorry. The two branches are empirical and formal. The two steps, sorry, of method,
No,
including
not two
observation.
steps. We have more than two steps. Like I mentioned there, I said that two is an error there. It's not part of it. So the steps include observation, problem hypothesis formulation. That is number two. Number three, experimentation. Then we have conclusion and theory formulation. Experimentation, comma, then conclusion. That should be number. Conclusion is number 4. Theory formulation is number 5. So ignore that two that is there. It's not part of this thing. That is typo error.
So I should ignore the empirical and formal.
No, those are branches. The steps are more than two. That's what I'm saying. So it is not the two steps.
Okay.
So we have about 5 of them there. So
Only two I see, but
can we move to science as an institution now?
I'll meet up the rest later, but don't worry. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, scroll up.
I should scroll up. Okay. All you have been saying so far is trying to see the 3 ways in which we can define science. Science as a body of knowledge, science as a method of acquiring knowledge, science as an institution. But we also have 2 branches of science, which are rather the empirical and the formal sciences. And we've mentioned them here. Then we have steps. Now, what led us to steps of acquiring scientific or applying scientific method is that both empirical and formal branches of science, they use one method, and that method is called scientific method. Now, under scientific method, we have some steps involved for you to carry out scientific operation. Those steps are the ones we listed there, about 5 of them: observation, problem hypothesis formulation, and then experimentation, conclusion, and theory formulation. So I think that is what we've done so far. First of all, under definition of science, 3 of them: as a body of knowledge, as a means of acquiring knowledge, and then as an institution. Then under method of acquiring knowledge, we have that science is also in 2 branches: empirical and formal sciences. And the 2 of them uses one method to do their experiment. That method is called scientific method. Scientific method involves 5 steps: observation, problem hypothesis formulation, experimentation, conclusion, and theory formulation. Then we'll talk about formal sciences, which uses rules, concept, and theories. They used to ask questions on this, please. They say that science utilizes concepts, rules, and theories and expresses them in quantitative and statistical manner. Your answer should be formal. You see it in OBJ. They may ask it in this thing too, in theory. Sorry, in filling the gap. So formal science is one that utilizes concept, rules. In fact, this question came out last semester rather. This particular place, it was the last semester exam, that science utilizes concept, rules, and theories and expresses them in quantitative and statistical manner. That is formal science. So I think we can go to science as an institution now. Now, science can be
You are too fast, I swear, but it's
All right, sorry. I think it's because the material is that bulky. If you are too slow, we will not reach half by the time the exam will start. Is someone saying something else?
No.
Okay, okay, don't worry. We are going to take a pause when we finish the science as an institution. Then maybe ask ourselves some questions to, you know, go back on what we've done before. Now, science as an institution. Science can be viewed as an institution which comprises millions of experts. Now, these experts engage in the study and development of human knowledge. The experts or scientists can be found in various research and educational institutions, industries, hospitals, companies. The way they ask question on this part of the material is they say that science involving industries, hospital, companies, etc. is referred to as dash. I hope you get the concept. That is how the question used to come out in the exam. That science involving industries, hospital, companies, blah, 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 is called dash. Science as an what? Institution. That is your answer. Science as an institution. That is one that involves industry, hospitals, and the rest of them. So now the cooperation and interaction among them make the development of science possible and reliable. So all the several branches of science we have and the different parts of science, they all work together just like one body to give us all of these sweet things we're enjoying from science development in our world today. That is what science as an institution is trying to tell us, that development is possible because all those branches of science that we have, they are working hand in hand to produce or to develop the human knowledge and to give us better. You know the difference? Okay, let me ask us this question. So maybe it will help us understand science. What is the difference between, so far now you know that science is a body of knowledge, abi? Developing human knowledge. What is the difference between science and technology? Is a general question to the class. Let's use that to get more understanding of the definition of science. What is the difference between science? At least nobody will say, I don't know technology. If you say you don't know science, you know technology. Even what you are using to, experience this class right now is technology. So nobody is, new to the idea of technology. So what is the main difference between science and technology? That person that is writing on my screen, continue. Yes, let's talk. Fumi Oshodi, you want to say something? What is the difference between science and technology?
Hmm.
It's not hard. Already you know the meaning of science. So it's just for you to compare it to technology. Science is a body of knowledge. I think that is the simplest definition we've gotten so far. So what is the difference between science and technology?
Oh, God, I beg you.
If you don't answer that question, we're not continuing the.
Hey, way.
It's very important to answer it. There's something I want to drive out.
Ah.
Don't use AI for me, oh.
oh, see, you know that we have limited time. Let's just go. You can help us out here.
You guys sure don't want to do anything.
That's why we are here to learn now, so
It's
that we
not
can,
what I'm trying to, the picture or the image I'm trying to create is that since you learn that science is a body of knowledge, the technology you are seeing around is just the result of applying those knowledge. So that is what I'm trying to, from that information given to us under science as an institution, we should be able to differentiate between technology, which is the result of applying the knowledge of science, and science itself. Science is the body of knowledge. Technology is the result, like the application of that knowledge. So when you learn knowledge from science, you apply it technically, you should be able to come up with a solution to the world, and that solution becomes technology. So that is just it. So let's not. Okay, so we have a short class activity. The first one is fill in the blank by choosing the correct word or phrase. List the three main ways in which science is viewed. Okay, don't worry. Let's use this for classwork. Sorry, for homework rather. Now, branches of science. We've mentioned them earlier on, but they do not explain them in detail. Just mention it that we have two branches of science, empirical and formal, but nothing much was said on them. So now let's talk about them one by one so that you now understand which one is formal science, which one is empirical science, what and what do they do. Now, in the last section, you learned the various meanings of the word science. In this section, you will be exposed to the two ways of grouping scientific disciplines or bodies of knowledge. This will enable you to identify anytime the areas knowledge which qualify to be called science. This material is full of rubbish. Now, the first way is to group the scientific disciplines into formal sciences and empirical sciences. You see that the definition for the two of them are very cheap thing. So don't allow it to bother you much. When we define it now, you understand. Now, formal sciences include mathematics, which comprises of geometry, algebra, trigonometry, arithmetic. Like I used to tell people that if somebody said she's a professor of mathematics, don't think that the person is Lord of Math. Mathematics is very wide. It may just be one part of mathematics that the person is a prof in. So if you ask somebody I'm a prof in math, it may just be only geometry that the person is dealing with. Even the geometry itself, the person will not know it completely. There should be some part of geometry that the person is prof on. So that is how wide mathematics is. You see that when they mention mathematics, they have to put a break and give some divisions of mathematics that we have. Even there are more than this. So formal sciences include one, mathematics, logic, theoretical physics, statistics. Now, formal sciences have a formal and deductive character. Now, question for exam. Dash sciences have a formal and deductive character. That is formal science. Very important statement. Very important statement. Digest it. Now, science is said to be formal if its content good. Here's another thing, and the one you have been waiting for. Arguments and procedures obey certain rules. Science is said to be formal if its contents, arguments, and procedures obey certain rules. This is what science is all about. We are talking of formal sciences, so don't forget. Now, the result and conclusion of such sciences are valid and authentic only if they conform to those rules. That is according to Walla 1997. But that is not really relevant. Now, for example, in mathematics, there are rules of addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. There are also rules for solving certain equations and problems, theorems, etc. Let's take, for instance, that you are given the following problems to solve. Now, just know that, you see, when you are talking from the word formal, you know why something is formal. That is something that has rules. For those of you that are doing GST102, you still get to this in letter writing, where you talk about formal letter and informal letter. I'm with you.
I'm good.
You have a question? Okay, I think that is not for here. So formal science is also, those are the part of science that deals with rules and regulation. You have their procedure has to follow certain rules for results to be achieved. Otherwise, no result. So let's take the example that is given to us. Okay, this is a division. 3/4, that is 3/4 of 5/6 plus 1/4, all over 7/3 multiplied by 4 plus 1/2 minus 3. You know that if you have this kind of wahala in mathematics, the only way you can save yourself is to start with board mass. I hope you know that if you have this kind of question, it's very, very confusing. Like you don't know which one to do first. Is it the addition or the subtraction
Yeah.
or the
I don't confuse like this. So ṣé a ti wọnú maths ní àbí
No, this is an example to tell you that this is what formal science look like. They are not asking you this one in the exam. It's an example. But what you should learn here is the full meaning of board mass. Because the funny thing about now is that they might decide to ask you that what does this start from a board mass? So you should be ready. And I think most of us know that already. The full meaning of board mass, that is the bracket. The O stands from order. So in some primary mathematics, they say of, but we call it order. So board mass, bracket of division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. So how would you go about it? The rule says that bracket is solved first, followed by of, which is the order. Then division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. What they're trying to tell you here is that when you talk about formal sciences, they have to follow rules. So if I'm giving a question like this in mathematics, that is why mathematics is part of formal science. If I don't follow the rules of solving this, I will not get the right answer. I will get another answer, but that won't be the right answer. Why? Because it's under a formal science. Mathematics follows certain rules. If this is the formula for solving this, if you use another formula, you will not get the answer. If you get an answer, it will not be the answer required of you. So that is what we're talking about under formal sciences. They have rules already stated that you have to follow in order to get result. One of those formal sciences rules is board mass, which we know in mathematics. And this question is just a practical question to show you when you need to apply board mass as a rule for solving a mathematical equation. So now, I said we should learn the full meaning of board mass. I think it's what we normally shout, everybody know, bracket of division, multiplication, addition, subtraction. Please, let's echo it together. Everybody unmute. The full meaning of board mass. Very important. Yes, 1, 2, go. Let's take it together. Unmute yourselves and talk.
Brackets
Yes.
bracket of division,
of
multiplication.
division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction.
Yes, that is all about board mass. Now, the result and conclusion of the problem above will be valid and authentic only if the rule of board mass is followed. I mentioned that earlier. You will still get another answer if you use corner way to do it, but it will not be the answer. It will not be an authentic answer that is expected of you. Now, thus, a body of formal, systematic, and deductive. What are they even saying here? This time I say I just full of jargons. Okay, thus a body, maybe what they mean is that a body of formal science must be systematic and deductive in manner. That is what they're trying to say. Yes. So this is this mathematical question can be approached using different ways. But there is one way, which is the formal way, which is recognized globally. So if I follow that way, I will get the correct answer, the authentic answer. If I follow my own magun way, most of you do that in math exams. You will just create one new formula in the exam hall there and solve the rubbish you want to solve. And one funny thing is that they used to when you solve some questions using rubbish formula, you see an option that match your rubbish formula.
Okay.
It's like we're already out of time, so let's just conclude. No need to waste time. This is like it's meaning just 2 minutes. We have just 2 minutes. So, in summary of what we've done today, let's take a short recap. We'll talk about the definition of science. That is our main concern here. This course material, GS105, is the history and philosophy of science. And today, we started with Module 1, Unit 1. And we're still under that Unit 1, and that's what we'll continue next. The nature of science, that is what we are trying to do today. The nature of science. And we've talked about definition of science, which is the body of knowledge. The body of knowledge, which is, we said the simplest definition we have is the body of knowledge. It's like, okay, I'm still here. So the body of knowledge, that is different, the simplest form of definition for it. But we said that that definition doesn't capture the full scope of science. That is why to define science properly, you have to divide it into three main branches. A body of knowledge, a method of acquiring knowledge, and an institution. And we'll talk about the three of them. Then we'll talk about two branches of science, which are empirical and formal sciences. And we'll talk about formal science, which is the one that uses rules and regulation. And after that, we'll talk about the three methods of applying science in detail. That is body of knowledge, method of acquiring knowledge, and then as an institution. So I think that is all we've done today. Do you have any questions? Let's use the 1 minute to answer question. I have just 1 minute left. Any question, any contribution? So
Well, me, my own head is hot like this.
I know it will be because
You,
this is one of the top
my,
GSTs that you have. And one thing about GST,
no, I was unable to jot down anything serious. I think we've not entered the empirical or the
no,
epitorial
we've
science,
not
right?
done that. We'll stop on formal science.
That's
Mm.
okay, no problem. Well, I did to take break time here. Thank you.
No, don't worry. The real facilitations will start on Monday, which is tomorrow. So please download your timetable from the school link that we dropped in the group so that you know the dates that you have lectures and their
Okay,
time.
please drop it again. Please drop the link again so we can get the time.
All right, no problem.
Yes.
All right, no problem.
Thank you.
All
Hello.
right, thank you. Enjoy your Sunday. We'll still have another class soon. I don't know
I have
if...
a
Yes, I'm with you.
question
I'm with you.
concerning